This is per Parsa Nimity as an on X, aka Twitter, at PARSA underscore NEMATI. They are a reliable source for like when players turn pro or head coaches moving from one program to another or assistant coaches to a different program or assistant coach to head coach or head coaches going down to assistant coaches. So that just let y'all know about that. I apologize for looking at it because I cannot memorize all this stuff. After being enrolled in classes this semester and planning on making her college tennis debut in the spring, Maya Joint, with a UTR of 12.02, has decided to turn pro and will not compete for Texas in women's tennis. The 18-year-old has a WTA singles ranking of 116, as in like 116 in the world, and is competing in the Australian Open main draw next month. This is obviously good news for all opponents against Texas. Let's be honest, because if she would have came and played, nobody was going to beat her. Let's just make that clear. And usually when you see a player like this, in terms of that UTR and high enough in singles rankings, you would think they'd turn pro. I thought that too. I know there are a few exceptions to the rule, like a Diana Snyder that was at NC State for that one semester where she led NC State to an ACC title in women's tennis and like an NCAA final runner up. I mean, that's just an exception, but then she turned pro. Even if Maya Joint would have played at Texas, let's be honest, she was going to be a one and done type. So you can't exactly fault that at all. And there are benefits for being in college. I mean, like education. You don't have to pay for your coaches, trainers slash physios. I mean, just telling the truth, and not just in terms of like coaches. I mean, like a head coach that could develop you, and the same thing goes for assistant coaches as well. You know, and you're not by yourself. The thing about it is, if you go college route, you can only take so much prize money. Yeah, that's an issue. So that might have been the difference for her from like staying at Texas or going pro. And as you could tell, she's too good to be in college. But then again, I thought the same thing about Payne Stearns. When she was at Texas, I thought she was going to be a one and done. Nope, she was a two and done. But you get the whole point about it. And the only reasons why I could have thought why Maya Joint would have stayed at Texas is for legitimate reasons. If they make it to the National Indoor Tournament, which I think they do have to face Maryland first, and like ITA kickoff weekend in the winter of Baylor and BYU, which I think they're gonna win those two matches. But then again, I know two Baylor freshmen pushed two Texas freshmen that were like in the ITA Texas Regionals tournament. I mean, that's the thing, and one of them was like a close straight sets win for Texas, and another one was a close three sets win for Texas. But you get the whole point about it. I mean, it's if they do get there, which I think they would have. Anyway, with Maya Joint, you it's not a guarantee you're going to win the national indoor tournament at all. It's not. When there are other teams there just as good as you or potentially better. I'm just saying, and it's hosted in like Evanston, Illinois, and Champaign, Illinois. So, as in like Northwestern and in Illinois. You know that. By the way, February 7th through February 10th. You know. Now the SEC regular season title they could have got with her, but it's not a guarantee. I mean, Texas A&M and Georgia are just two examples of teams that are just as good as Texas, if not potentially better. I mean, it's of course I know there's Florida, but I don't know about with the new head coach. There's Tennessee that made it Elite Eight last year and they beat a 1 seed, but no. Then again, they had one medical retirement. They beat a court six that nobody else beat most of the year. They beat court four as well, and they beat the court one in a 3-set match. I mean, that's the thing. Despite losing doubles, you know, that's just a name another team or two, and even then, it's not guaranteed. Same thing goes for the SEC tournament. I mean, it's not like I said about those other SEC teams. It's not guaranteed. And obviously, NCAA's tournament, that's even not a guarantee itself. So there's more risk than reward. Why risk the potential injury issue down the line when you're good enough to go pro right now? I mean, why? Now, this does open the door for the battle of Court 1 for Texas, to say the least, between Sabina Zelenova, that's a senior, and Esther Mary, that's a true freshman. And I'm just saying those two because of the UTRs when you look them up, by the way. So, but we'll have to see about Mary turning pro too. She has a good UTR, but not as clearly not as good as Maya Joint. But just imagine Maya Joint was on Texas for the spring. They would have an unbelievable top half of the lineup that nobody was going to even beat. Just imagine. And then 4 through 6 becomes stronger. Now it's one player less in terms of depth, which with her they would have had 12. Now they're down to 11. Though granted, there are some players that are like so low in UTR they're just like hardly play players. I mean, and y'all could look it up on those players are, and they're a very young team, to say the least. Only 2 upperclassmen. One's a senior, the other one's a junior, but even that junior was a redshirt junior. She redshirted 1 year because of injury. I mean, everybody else is sophomores, redshirt freshmen, and freshmen. I mean, 2 sophomores, which granted one of them's not gonna play that much. I know, but still. 8, yep. I'm going to double check how many freshmen / redshirt freshmen, even if they have my joint, to subtract by 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 freshmen. Now they're down to 7 freshmen. And like I said, how many of those are going to be playing? I mean, consistently. I mean, that's just telling the truth. We just got to wait and see how they adjust to this news in the spring and who's the top player in the singles lineup, how they're going to, and how does that affect the 3 through 6. Because to me, the top 2 are the top 2, in my opinion. And the same thing goes for the doubles lineup too. You can't forget about that, because that sometimes makes the difference in the match, whether you win doubles or not, especially when it's a match that's so even and whoever wins the doubles point could win the match. And it's just split. So, we're going to have to wait and see what happens from here. And I'm sure all the teams against Texas are rejoicing that they don't have to mess with Maya Joint. And I know she would have been unbelievable as a college tennis player. But this is the right decision. And I'm not saying that for the opponent's sake. I'm talking about the pro aspiration side of things. You're going to be in the Australian Open. You're going to earn some prize money now. And that's a guarantee. And she could always go to college, not as a, like, she could just enroll in classes at a later time when she's not like a college athlete later on. I mean, I'm just telling the truth. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens to them. And they're still a solid team, but they're not going to be as good without Maya Joint. I can promise you that right now. They're not going to be. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe and see you guys later on the road to 7 scores. Score's ultimate goal is 1,000 more money at those scores. Like a video, comment video, really helps YouTube algorithm so more people can see it. Sharing the video does help as well so more people can watch. And if you're watching and not subscribed, hit subscribe button, ring the notification bell as well. And if they would have Maya Joint for this upcoming year, they would have been number one and undisputed in my opinion. Now we're going to wait and see what the preseason polls, whenever the season comes around, looks like. Now with this news here.